Lesson 70. My salvation comes from me. All temptation is nothing more than some form of the basic temptation not to believe the idea for today. Salvation seems to come from anywhere except from you. This is what we were talking about with other religions or spiritual things. Oftentimes it's about looking for being saved from something outside of yourself, or me growing up with Disney waiting for that knight shining armor to save me from everything. No. Salvation comes from within you. You don't need anyone, you don't need any building, you don't need anyone's approval or blessing for you to be saved. So too does the source of guilt. So not only does your salvation come from you, but your guilt comes from you too. You're choosing to hang on to that guilt. You're choosing to listen to what other people are saying or thinking, or what you think they're saying or thinking. You see neither guilt nor salvation as in your own mind and nowhere else. When you realize that all guilt is solely an invention of your mind, you also realize that guilt and salvation must be in the same place. In understanding this, you are saved. I love how the Course is just super direct and just calls us out and says, hey, you feel bad? It's your fault. I mean, kind of. Granted, yes, crappy things can happen, and it sucks, and I'm sorry you've experienced those things, but they're done. They're gone. And anything that you're feeling now is because you're dwelling on it, and you're not letting it go. And it's really the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to let go of those painful memories. Trust me, it's just the truth. The seeming cost of accepting today's idea is this. It means that nothing outside yourself can save you. Nothing outside yourself can give you peace. But it also means that nothing outside yourself can hurt you or disturb your peace or upset you in any way. You choose to let yourself be upset. You choose to let yourself get out of peace. Today's idea places you in charge of the universe where you belong because of what you are. This is not a role that can be partially accepted, and you must surely begin to see that accepting it is salvation. It may not, however, be clear to you why the recognition that guilt is in your own mind entails the realization that salvation is there as well. God would not have put the remedy for the sickness where it cannot help. That is the way your mind has worked, but hardly His. He wants you to be healed. So He has kept the source of healing where the need for healing lies. We don't really need to be healed because we're already perfect and healed, but we think we need to be healed. And so, how do you heal? Through salvation. How do you find salvation? Through forgiveness. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness is the key to happiness. Forgiving grievances, anything, any of that negativity, letting it go. You have tried to do just the opposite, making every attempt, however distorted and fantastic it might be, to separate healing from the sickness for which it was intended, and thus keep the sickness. Your purpose was to ensure that healing did not occur. God's purpose was to ensure that it did. Today we practice realizing that God's will, or love's will, and ours are really the same in this. God wants us to be healed, and we do not really want to be sick because it makes us unhappy. Therefore, in accepting the idea for today, we are really in agreement with God. He does not want us to be sick, neither do we. He wants us to be healed, so do we. Now, what God knows is we are already healed. So He's just waiting for us to realize that. Love is just waiting for us to realize that we are love, and love is already within us, and we are already perfect. We are ready for 2 longer practice periods today, each of which should last some 10 to 15 minutes. We will, however, still let you decide when to undertake them. We will follow this practice for a number of lessons, and it would again be well to decide in advance when would be a good time to lay aside for each of them, and then adhering to your own decisions as closely as possible. Days go by, minutes and hours fly by, and before you know it, you haven't gotten your meditation in. That's why it's a really good idea to decide ahead of time, write it in your calendar, put an alarm on your phone, whatever it is that you need to help yourself stay true to this. 10 to 15 minutes twice a day, you're talking 20 to 30 minutes total. Not that much of a commitment considering the benefit that you will receive from doing this. Begin these practice periods by repeating the idea for today, adding a statement signifying your recognition that salvation comes from nothing outside of you. You might put it this way: my salvation comes from me. It cannot come from anywhere else. Then devote a few minutes with your eyes closed to reviewing some of the external places where you have looked for salvation in the past, in other people, in possessions, in various situations and events, and in self-concepts that you sought to make real. Recognize that it is not there. Tell yourself, my salvation cannot come from any of these things. My salvation comes from me and only from me. I've talked about this before. When I first learned this, it made me mad because I thought, man, I've wasted a lot of time, and man, I don't want it to be up to me, because then that means I can change it. And at first it sounds awful that you're like, ugh, I want someone else to do the work. This is too hard. But then to realize that you have the power and that you have the control, that's pretty incredible, and it feels amazing once you accept it and say, all right, if this is the way it is the way it is, and I'm going to do what I can to make this life the best I can. And life gets better, and you realize, man, this is great. And you forget about all those past years where you were placing your trust outside of yourself. You are all you need. Your salvation lies within you through your forgiveness of yourself and others. Okay. Now we will try again to reach the light in you, which is where your salvation is. You cannot find it in the clouds that surround the light, and it is in them that you have been looking for it. It is not there. It is past the clouds and in the light beyond. Remember that you will have to go through the clouds before you can reach the light. You have to go through your own crap before you can get to the brightness. You have to look at what you've created. You have to look at all of this junk and acknowledge it and shake it off and get through it. You can't just be like, la 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 la, now I'm in the light. It doesn't work that way. As long as you're like la 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 lying, you're going to stay in the clouds and you're going to stay in denial. But remember also that you have never found anything in the cloud patterns you imagined that endured or that you wanted. Nothing was that satisfying. Nothing felt that good. So you want to feel really satisfied? You want to feel really good? Keep doing these lessons, and you will. Since all illusions of salvation have failed you, surely you do not want to remain in the clouds, looking vainly for idols there, when you could so easily walk on into the light of real salvation. Try to pass the clouds by whatever means appeals to you. If it helps you, think of me holding your hand and leading you, and I assure you this will be no idle fantasy. Whoever it is that you want to be helping you, imagine they are helping you, because they are. We are. Imagine it's me. Take my hand. We'll do this together. For the short and frequent practice periods today, remind yourself that your salvation comes from you, and nothing but your own thoughts can hamper your progress. Nothing but your own thoughts can hamper your progress. So any thought that's not of love, tell it to shut up. Get out of here. You're not of love, I don't want you. Okay? Your own negative thoughts need to go. You are free from all external interference. You are in charge of your salvation. You are in charge of the salvation of the world. And don't make that feel like, I can't handle it, it's too much pressure. Saving yourself is all you need to do to save the world. If each person in the world saved themselves, the world would be saved, right? Get it? It's true. Say then, my salvation comes from me. Nothing outside of me can hold me back. Within me is the world's salvation and my own. Nothing outside of you can hold you back. Even if it looks like somebody else is screwing you over. You and your attitude and the way you look at life and the way you choose to be, that's what matters. It's a big lesson. Have fun with it. Try to have a good attitude about it. Look forward to it. Embrace it. And even if you're having a hard time, just go. Just do it. Just try. All right? Please let me know how it goes. Email me or drop a comment. And I look forward to hearing from you. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow.